Hi guys, it is April from Getting Cocoa With It. You're gonna need like a cup of tea, coffee, wine, a snack for this because I'm about to go through the biggest book haul I think I've ever done. So let's get into it. So I have books that I bought myself, like a huge stack. Something I got from Indigo. I did 2 book outlet orders. I've got a stack of books that you guys sent me and that I got as little gifts. And then I also have books from the publishers. I also have to unbox some of them. I showed restraint. Another thing I plan to do, I was thinking about doing for my book hauls going forward, and for some reason I decided to decide with the biggest book haul, is to read the first line from every book. I'm going to put them in a separate little spot when I read like a 5-star first line, and then I'll have asterisks at the bottom when I list all of the books. I don't know. I think it would be fun to do. And then I can kind of go back and see if they were also 5-star reads. Does a 5-star line mean it's going to be a 5-star read? I don't know. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to start with books that you guys sent me and books that I got as little gifties. Not little gifties, they're wonderful gifts. Now I got this the other day. And I don't know, this is a really honkin' book. Like it feels really big. And I don't remember putting anything super big on my Amazon wish list. So I'm super intrigued. This is the best. It's like my birthday all over again. My birthday was at the beginning of May. And oh my gosh, you guys totally spoiled me. Why is it so hard to open? What is this? Oh my gosh. Yes! Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I've seen so many booktubers have this on their channels, like in the background, and I've always been like, oh, I need to read that. Who sent this to me? Oh, I need to... Is there a... There is a note. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, Sandy, enjoy your gift and have a happy Mother's Day from Sandy. Thank you so much, Sandy. That is so kind of you. I didn't know it was so honkin'. Sandy, have you read this? I hope that I'm so excited to read this. I'm sure it's going to be great. This is based on a true story, and we follow an Italian man named Pino. It's World War II and he wants nothing to do with the Nazis whatsoever. However, his parents really want to protect him and they enlist him as a German soldier. And what he does instead is he goes into the army. He ends up being the personal driver of Adolf Hitler's left hand in Italy. And he works as a spy for the Allies. And I think this is an Amazon published book, which is very exciting. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was the only one that was gifted from you guys that I was able to restrain myself from opening because, oh, I've got to put this. I always put your messages when you guys send me books. I put them in there in the book so I'll always remember who gave it to me. So thank you so much, Sandy, for that. Oh my gosh. Before we move on, I need to read the first line and we need to decide whether it's a 5-star first line. So I did a demo thing and read the first line of the preface, not the actual book, the preface. So here is the actual first line of Beneath the Scarlet Sky. It says, like all the pharaohs, emperors, and tyrants before him, Il Duce had seen his empire rise only to crumble. That's a good solid first line. I feel like it's more of a 4-star first line than a 5-star though. Back to old me. Moving on. Next, I got Kindred by Octavia Butler. This was kindly sent to me by Louise. She said, "Hi April, I really love this book and I hope you do too. I adore your channel and watching your videos makes self-isolation that little bit easier. So I wanted to repay the joy from Louise." Oh my gosh, it's so nice. So this book is about it's like sci-fi meets historical fiction, and we meet a woman, I think in present day, at least when it was written, it's like present day, and she has to go back in time to slave time. Now she is black and she has to go back and adapt to being a slave, enslaved, and for some reason she has to save, I think, the slave owner's son. He is somehow tied to her life and she has to save him from, I don't know, death or something like that. It sounds really good. Okay, so reading the first line. "I lost an arm on my last trip home." That's good. I lost my arm on my last trip home. I'm interested. That might be a 5-star first line. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for sending that. By the way, I unboxed those two in a recent vlog that I did. So I'll link that in the description box below. Okay, and the last one that I also unboxed in that vlog is The Lying Room by Nikki French. Now you guys know I am obsessed with the Frida Klein series. I am currently, as I'm filming this, I am reading Friday on My Mind. And so I'm inching ever closer to ending the series, and I think I'm going to have a little withdrawal. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when I end. I'm going to be very upset. So, I now have The Lying Room by Nikki French, and this was kindly sent to me by Brooke. So Brooke said, "Your channel has brought me so much comfort and joy over the last couple of years. Thanks for the great content and wonderful book recommendations." From Brooke. Oh, so kind of her. Now, this one is about a woman who is having an affair with a man, and they have, like, I think they have an apartment together or something like that, and she goes to the apartment to meet him and she finds him dead. Now she doesn't want the fact that she's having an affair to be revealed. I guess she's obviously married with children. So she covers up the murder. That's not going to end well, is it? It's meant to be really, really good. So let's read the first line. Okay. When Nev pulled up the blinds, the kitchen sprang into life like a theater set, empty and waiting for the familiar show to begin. Not a 5-star first line, but that doesn't mean it won't be a 5-star read. Okay, and then I have 2 more books that were gifted to me by my mom. She read them, she loved them, she passed them on to me, and I always appreciate that. The first is Before She Was Found by Heather Gudenkopf. And this one is a thriller about this group of girls. I think they're 13 or 12. They're 12, they're getting together for a sleepover, but the end of the sleepover leaves one of them like clinging to life on the train tracks, and the other 2 are nowhere to be found. So I think the girl who is victimized does survive. I think she's just like brutally beaten. And we basically have to find out who did this to her. Doesn't that sound so good? Let's read the first line. Oh, the first line is not a first line. It's like a text message exchange. Should I read that? I'll read it. Jordan, going to Cora's at 6. Violet, me too. Are you going to bring it? Jordan, yeah. Violet, are we really doing this? Jordan, yes, unless you're too scared to. Violet, what if we get caught? Jordan, keep your mouth shut and we won't. Not a 5-star first line. Lines? So no, but it does sound really good, doesn't it? And this one my mom really loved. It's called Little Darlings by Melanie Golding. And this is about a woman, another thriller. I guess my mom is like super into thrillers right now. It's about a woman who's just given birth to twins. And she's really struggling with it, as you can imagine. The early days are very hard with very little sleep. In any case, she goes on a walk with her children in the park, and she turns her head for a second and she looks down at the baby carriage and the babies are gone. Luckily, someone finds the babies and they're bringing them over to her, and she looks at them and she's like, "Those aren't my children." It sounds so, so good. So let us read the first line. D.S. Joanna Harper stood on the viaduct with the other police officers. On the far bank, across the great expanse of the reservoir, a woman paused at the water's edge, about to go in, her twin baby boys held tightly in her arms. I think I just ended up reading the first paragraph instead. Good, but not a 5-star first line. Could be a 5-star read. Oh my gosh, I feel so lucky and very, very excited. Okay, now we're moving on to books that publishers sent my way, and these are all from Penguin Random House Canada. They have been spoiling me rotten, and I appreciate it very, very much. So they just sent me yesterday this package, and it says this is a book that's coming out on June 9th. What is it? That didn't work at all. Oh, that's why I didn't pull this. Am idiot. Okay. What is it? Is it the back? What is this? Oh my gosh. It's the House of Whispers. Now, what in the world is this called? Bone China in the UK. It's called Bone China. This is the latest Laura Purcell. Oh my god. Okay, so Laura Purcell writes very gothic, dark books. I read The Silent Companions by her. Gave me the creeps all the way. So this is one of those books that goes backwards and forwards in time, which is one of my favorite things ever. And this follows a family called the Pinecrafts, and consumption has ravaged this family. And Dr. Pinecraft, who I think is the head of the family, has plans to bring his wife and his children to the sea, thinking that it will help them. So he arranges to house a group of prisoners suffering from the disease in the caves beneath his new Cornish home. And he's going to perform all of these like medical experiments on them, I imagine. In any case, we jump forward 40 years and we follow a nurse named Hester who arrives at this house to take up position as a nurse to this woman named Miss Pinecroft. So it must be one of the family members. And she's partially paralyzed and mute. And there's all sorts of like strange rituals that are done by the staff. It sounds so weird. Doesn't that sound weird and super creepy? I love this cover too. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's read the first line. Love is fragile, my mother once said. I don't think that's a 5-star first line. I'm amazed how many are not quite a 5-star first line. I don't know. I thought, like, usually that's the thing that sells a book a lot of the time, but definitely doesn't mean it's not going to be a 5-star read. Okay, the next book that Penguin Random House Canada sent to me is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Now, this is kind of more self-help on that end of the spectrum. And this is about girls and women and the boxes that we can be put in, and breaking out of the box and not allowing society to, you know, box you in and tell you what to do and how to act. And it sounds really wonderful. I read the first chapter of this, so this first line is not a shock to me, but I read the first chapter and it really spoke to me. So, okay. So the first line is, 2 summers ago, my wife and I took our daughters to the zoo. Okay, that's not a 5-star first line. But oh my gosh, it spoke to me so much. So I'm so grateful that Penguin Random House Canada sent this my way. Oh, I'm so spoiled. Okay, I have 3 more from them. Next is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Now this, I mean, just looking at this book makes me smile because it sounds so ridiculous, but apparently it's horrifying. It is horror. This is about a woman who's part of a true crime women's book club. It takes place in the 80s, early 90s. One day she's leaving book club and she is attacked by a neighbor. Luckily, one of her neighbor's nephews comes to the rescue. She's never met anyone like him, and they develop this relationship together. But it sounds like he might be a vampire. Doesn't that sound hilarious? I don't know. I'm super excited. Okay, let's read the first line. The story ends in blood. First line, 5 stars, yes. Okay, next, and this is all Amy Poole's fault. She read this and just went on and gushed about it, and Penguin Random House Canada kindly sent it to me. It's called Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is a World War II historical fiction book, but it's also YA. I just read the back and it looks like it also follows World War I and II. In any case, we meet the gods like Aphrodite and several other gods, and she's telling the story of love to her boyfriend or her husband Archimedes or something like that. And these love stories that she tells are of people during World War I and World War II. And apparently you get totally wrapped up in these stories, and it sounds really good. I love this cover so much. Now, I'm not usually a love story kind of person, but when Amy Poole read it and loved it, I was like, we have very similar reading tastes a lot of the time. And I have a feeling I'm gonna really like it. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so let's read the first line. It is early evening in the lobby of an elegant Manhattan hotel. Not 5 stars. Still could be a 5-star read. Okay. And last is The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate. Spoiler alert, I've already read this. I didn't really love it. It didn't really work for me. This is one of those books that takes place in 2 time periods. We meet someone in the present day, or 1987, so present-ish day. In 1987, we meet a woman who has moved to a small southern town to teach, and she starts looking into the neighborhood, the grounds where she lives, and finding all of these gravestones and learning about the history of this town where slavery was very much prevalent. And we then go backwards in time and we meet a slave and 2 daughters of the slave owner. And we follow them on a journey, and part of that journey is about this Book of Lost Friends, where people who had been enslaved are reaching out through the newspaper trying to find their families, because so much of the time people who were enslaved were separated. Mothers were separated from their children, and they're trying to find their families. It didn't quite work for me. I struggled with a white author writing about its enslavement from the perspective of a Black person. It might have been just me though, so this might be perfect for you, but it didn't quite work for me. I will read the first line, even though I've already read it, but I'll read it anyway. Okay. A single ladybug lands featherlight on the teacher's finger, clings there a living gemstone. Not a 5-star first line, in my opinion. Okay, we're moving on to the big old box of books that I got. One book from Indigo and one huge box from Book Outlet. So, first up with Indigo. I'm kind of upset because I pre-ordered a book and it was supposed to arrive yesterday, and then I checked today and it said like there's now no time that it's going to be coming. There's no deadline anymore. It was just like, we don't know when it's going to show up. So I decided to film this video anyway because I was like, well, what am I gonna do? So I will haul that one in a future haul. In any case, I do have this one though to show you. Oh. I know what it is. I don't know why I'm unboxing it like this, but you guys don't mind. Hopefully. Okay, what is it? Ooh. Ooh. Everyone's been reading this. It's My Dark Vanessa. Like, even I just talked to one of my best friends on the phone this morning and she said she was in the middle of reading this. Whew. My Dark Vanessa is going to be a heavy read, and this is about a high school student who is being groomed by her high school teacher, and she has this romantic relationship with him. Essentially, it is abuse, but she at the time doesn't look at it that way. I was just talking to my friend about this and how like boy crazy I was when I was, what, 15, 16? That's how old she is in here. And I could see this happening where you don't realize it's abuse until later. In any case, years later, she finds out that this high school teacher is winning an award. And so she comes out with her story and she tells the truth about what he did to her. Again, everyone is reading this and everyone seems to have been loving this, but it is dark and heavy. So okay, let's read the first line, shall we? I get ready for work and the post has been up for 8 hours. Is it 5-star? I don't know, but I feel like that is 4-star kind of. I find that intriguing. Oh, I love this cover too. It's so beautiful. Okay, so that's My Dark Vanessa. And now we're going right into the Book Outlet box, which is so heavy. I don't think I could even pick it up. Oh God, okay. So, okay. The reason that I did the first haul is because of this book. There was one available at the time, and I snagged it. It's Ask Again, Yes, by Mary Beth Keane. I have heard that if you like Little Fires Everywhere, which I very much did, you will like Ask Again, Yes. And so I snagged it. This is about a little quaint town and about two neighbors who live like back to back basically, and I think they've lived next to each other for years and years and years. Their children are close, and I think their children have, I think one of their kids have like relationships with one another, like romantic relationships. In any case, something dramatic and traumatic happens to these families that changes their lives forever, and I don't think you find that out until later, what that is. It sounds very intriguing, and I am very, very excited to read this one for sure. Okay, so let's read the first line. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. Okay, prologue. Francis Gleason, tall and thin, in his powder blue policeman's uniform, stepped out of the sun and into the shadow of the stocky stone building that was the station house of the 41st Precinct. Not a 5-star first line, I wouldn't say. Might be a 5-star read, though. Next is a middle grade called One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia, and this is about a group of African-American kids, and it is the summer of 1968, and they travel to Oakland, California, trying to find their mother who abandoned them. I don't know much more about it than that, but it's gotten tons of awards. So I was very eager to pick this up. I think it was it Mary at Happily Ever Esch who hauled this, and I needed to get it because of that? I think it might have been. Okay, let's read the first line. Good thing the plane had seatbelts, and we'd been strapped in tight before takeoff. Not a 5-star first line, but could be a 5-star read. Okay, next up is Belle Prater's Boy. This is also middle grade. Don't worry, there's not like an insane amount of middle grade in this, but I am trying to pick up a little bit more of it so that I'll have things that Nora can read and we can read together as she grows up. I mean, I know she's only like 9 months old, but yeah, I have to do this. So this follows a little boy in 1953. And it says on the back, around 5 a.m. On an October Sunday morning in 1953, my Aunt Belle left her bed and vanished from the face of the earth. And I think we follow this little boy looking for her along with her, his cousin. And it sounds really good. I think there is a sequel to this as well. So if I really like this one, I can read that. It just sounded really interesting and really good. The first line is, around 5 a.m. on a warm Sunday morning in October 1953, my Aunt Belle left her bed and vanished from the face of the earth. That's a 5-star first line. Yes. Okay. I think there's like 3 or 4 more books in this first haul. Okay, next is The Choice, Embrace the Possible. Now, I picked this up because I saw her being interviewed by Oprah recently, and this is a nonfiction memoir written by this woman who survived a concentration camp. She was 16 and she was sent to Auschwitz. Her parents were killed, and she was forced to dance for the amusement of one of the officers. Now, she survived it and became a psychologist, and this is about survival and mindset, and it sounds unbelievable. I really want to know her story, and just the fact that she became a psychologist afterwards, I'm very fascinated by her and her resilience. I think this is going to be a really great book about resilience. So I'm so happy that I got this. Let's read the first line. I didn't know about the loaded gun hidden under his shirt, but the instant Captain Jason Fuller walked into my El Paso office on a summer day in 1980, my gut tightened and the back of my neck stung. The 5-star first line. Yes. Wow. So you guys know I've recently read The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. I had no idea she did historical fiction. She does. And so I went on Book Outlet and found another one of her historical fiction books. This is The Girl You Left Behind. And I think there might be a little bit of romance on there, seeing the cover. This is one of those books that go back and forwards in time. We meet Sophie in France in 1916. And she has a husband who is fighting right now on the front lines. Their town falls to the Germans, and she has to see them every night. I think she works at a restaurant or something, so she has to serve them. And one of the commandants sees a photo, or not a photo, a picture that her husband painted of her, and he becomes obsessed with her. And then we flash forward a century later, and that portrait is hanging in the home of Liv Halston, and it was given to her as a wedding gift by her husband just right before he died very, very suddenly. And I think she dives into the history of this portrait. It sounds wonderful, and I'm so eager to read this. Oh, let's read the first line. I forgot. The Girl You Left Behind. I was dreaming of food. That's not a 5-star first line. Okay, and then I got 2 Susan Meissner books because I read As Bright as Heaven and really loved it. Now I was looking for a particular Susan Meissner, couldn't find it on Book Outlet. So I got these two instead, which is totally fine. A Bridge Across the Ocean by Susan Meissner. So this takes place just after World War II, and we meet a woman or several women who are on this ship to America, and essentially they're war brides. I don't really know what that means. Oh, so it sounds like only one of them actually gets off the ship. What does that mean? Did the other ones die? I don't know. It sounds really cool. And then you flash forwards in time. It's one of those books as well. And I think she dives into the past and finds out what happened to these other women. Sounds so good. Let's read the first line. The afternoon sun lies low and sweet among the clouds that hug the harbor, bathing the promenade deck in shimmering half-light. That sounds lovely, but not like a 5-star first line. Okay, and next is A Fall of Marigolds, also by Susan Meissner. I think this is her first book, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know in the comments below if I'm right on that. And this goes back and forwards in time between September 1911 and September 2011. So in September 1911, we follow a nurse named Clara who is taking care of this immigrant who is fevered. And she becomes intrigued by a name embroidered onto the scarf that he carries, and she has to like confront all of these assumptions that she had made about him or something. I don't fully know. And then in September 2011, we follow a widow who is working at a fabric store, and she finds this long lost photo in a magazine and is forced to relive the terrible day that her husband died in the World Trade Center towers. It sounds kind of devastating. Do you not find that? That sounds really devastating. Okay, first line. The length of floral patterned chalice rested on the cutting table like a bridal bouquet undone. Not a 5-star first line, but still sounds very, very good. Okay, and then I did an entire other book outlet haul because a book that I wanted came up. And so I got it. Guess what? Who it's by? Susan Meissner. Oh my gosh, this is Secrets of a Charmed Life. Oh my gosh, I hope that you guys enjoy historical fiction because I got a little bit in here. This is another one that goes back and forwards in time, and we meet a woman, a young American woman in Oxford, England, and she is interviewing an older woman. I love those stories where you interview an older woman and she tells you the story of her life. So this elderly older woman has lived through the Second World War. She, as well as her sister, during that time was, like many children who lived in London, sent away to the countryside in case the bombs dropped and in case they, you know, came into harm's way. And so they go and stay at Cotswold Cottage. But she's like desperate to become the apprentice at this for this fashion designer, and I don't know whether she stays or not with her sister or what. It sounds really, really good. I've heard such good things about this one. Okay, let's read the first line. The English cottage, bramble-hedged and golden-stoned, looks as timeless as a fairy tale, except for the bobbing mylar balloons tied to the front gate. I think she has such a beautiful writing style. Not a 5-star first line, but still really good. Okay, the next two are books that I got because of one of you, and I wish I could remember who it was, but they said, I mentioned that I am looking to get into more YA, historical fiction, and one of you mentioned the name Monica Hess, and in particular, Girl in the Blue Coat. And so I picked it up because it was on Book Outlet. So this sounds really cool. This is about a teenager during World War II in Amsterdam. And she is basically a thief. She survives and helps her family survive during this very hard time by stealing things. And one day, as she's stealing something, she runs into this woman who is a bit terrified because the Jewish girl that she was hiding has disappeared. and she asks for this little girl's help. Little girl, like she's a teenager, named Haneke. It sounds like so much fun. Let's read the first line. A long time before Bas died, we had a pretend argument about whose fault it was that he'd fallen in love with me. Not a 5-star first line, but could be 5-star read. And then I got the other one that was also on Book Outlet. That sounds amazing. I'm almost more attracted to this one than that one. The War Outside. And this is about 2 girls who end up staying at a, it's not a concentration camp. It's an internment camp. This is also World War II. And one of them, their father, is German and might have Nazi ties, and the other one is Japanese, and it is about their friendship together, and it just sounds so good. Okay, oh, and there's a little map in there. Who doesn't love a map? I wish we were all home now, Toshiko whispers, as if I'll have a different response than I had the last time she said the same thing. Not a 5-star first line, but could be a 5-star read. The next 2 are middle grade. The first one here is Winterhouse by Ben Gutterson. I should mention the second one is The Secrets of Winterhouse. I'm not going to really go into this because it's the sequel to this, and I don't really want to know anything about this in case it gives something away. Yeah, I'm not even going to read the first line or the back, but it's the sequel. So Winterhouse is a kind of magical mystery series, middle grade, and this follows young orphan Elizabeth Summers. Her aunt and uncle don't sound like they're very good guardians, and they ship her off to Winterhouse Hotel, which is owned by a peculiar Norbridge Falls. When she gets there, she learns that Winterhouse has all of these charms and magical elements to it, and she has to dive into this magical book that she finds. It has all of these puzzles in it, and she's meant to use these puzzles and solve these puzzles in order to solve a mystery. And doesn't that sound wonderful? I think it does. I really do. Okay, let's read the first line. When Elizabeth Summers tugged open the gate to her aunt and uncle's yard and saw an envelope duct taped to the front door of the shabby house she shared with them, she knew it was bad news. I like that. I think that's a 5-star first line. Yes. Okay. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I have the sequel to it, but I'm not going to look at it because I don't want to ruin anything. And then the last one, oh my gosh, we went through it. But this is like 45 minutes long. This is a long one, guys. The last book that I have is Codename Lise. This is the true story of the woman who became World War II's most highly decorated spy. And I think this was up for like one of those Goodreads prizes. Like a lot of people on Goodreads who read this have loved it, and it came out last year. This follows Odette in World War II. She leaves behind her family, her friends, her children in order to become a spy. Now, she is a pilot, but unfortunately I think she's had like multiple crash landings. She finally arrives in occupied France to start her mission, and she meets this man, her commanding officer named Captain Peter Churchill. I think they end up falling in love, and they are both spies. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. They're spies. They are also captured, sent to a concentration camp. I mean, this woman's life sounds crazy. How have we not all heard of this woman before? I don't know. But I would really like to read more historical nonfiction. I read The Splendid and the Vile recently and loved it. And so I want to read more kind of like that. And this one's meant to be great. Let's read the prologue, first line of the prologue. Shortly after 10, the mist began to dissipate, leaving them partially exposed. I don't think that's a 5-star first line. Okay, oh my gosh. Those are all the books that I got, guys. I was spoiled, and then I spoiled myself. Should I go on like a book buying ban soon? I don't know. Can I even do that? I'm not sure. But let's just really quickly go through the 5-star first lines. There weren't tons. Winterhouse had a 5-star first line. So did The Choice. As did Belle Prater's Boy. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And also Kindred. This is just the best. I just feel happy. Okay, let me know in the comments below. Have you read any of these? Thank you again to all of you who sent me lovely books. That was so nice of you, and you didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. I'd love to know what you've bought lately that you've been super excited about. I will not be able to wipe the smile off my face because I'm so happy right now. In the description box below, I'm getting much better at including things like my Goodreads page, my Instagram, my Amazon wish list if you want to go and check that out. Yeah, I hope that you guys are doing really, really well. Thanks for hanging out with me for like nearly an hour to go through all of the lovely books that I got. And I'll chat with you soon. Bye, guys.